In today's video, I am going to explain anatomy and function of soleus. Soleus is part of calf muscle. The most famous calf muscle is gastrocnemius. But once you dissect gastrocnemius, one deep layer, there is soleus. Let me explain its origin first. Origin is superior part of lower leg. This part is neck of fibula that attaches to posterior part of neck of fibula. Posterior part of neck of fibula, and also that attaches to posterior part of fibula. So let me write posterior fibula. And also posterior part of tibia. It's simple, right? This muscle is literally on back side. Thus, attachment is also on posterior part, back part, right? This is origin. Where is insertion? Insertion is here, calcaneus, very simple. Soleus kind of unites with Achilles tendon, then via Achilles tendon that goes to calcaneus. It's like a gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius also kind of fuses, unites with Achilles tendon, then attaches to calcaneus. Soleus is same thing, okay? Okay, this is origin and insertion. Origin is posterior neck of fibula, posterior part of fibula, then posterior part of tibia. Insertion is calcaneus, same like gastrocnemius. This is simple, correct? Now let me explain function of soleus. The most famous function of soleus is plantar flexion. Plantar flexion. Plantar flexion is like you point out toes, like this way, stretch out foot. Okay, this is plantar flexion. Then there's one minor movement that is inversion. That's very surprising. Not many anatomy books say about inversion because it's very minor, very slight, weak movement. Let me explain why soleus does inversion. Okay, this is superior view of right foot. Before I'm gonna explain why soleus does inversion, let me explain a little bit about biomechanics of foot. Then let me explain axis of movement of foot. There are basically two axes. One axis is like a horizontal axis. This axis runs, side to side. Muscles that run anterior from this axis do dorsiflexion. It's like a tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus. And muscles that pass posterior from this axis, they do plantar flexion. Like soleus and gastrocnemius. Then let me put one more axis. It's kind of a diagonal axis like this, okay? And on medial inferior part, which is basically this part, muscles that run at this quadrant, this part, they do inversion. On the other hand, muscles that pass the other part of quadrant, they do eversion. It's simple to visualize. On this quadrant, how about fibularis longus, fibularis brevis? They do eversion. And how about this part? Tibialis posterior, flexor hallucis longus, flexor digitorum longus. They do inversion. Now, where is soleus? Soleus is about here, correct? Then what is function of soleus? That does plantar flexion and inversion. When you try to do inversion, eversion, while you are touching soleus, gastrocnemius, you can feel the muscle is shortening or stretching. However, inversion is very slight movement, very weak movement for gastrocnemius and soleus. The main function of these two muscles is, of course, plantar flexion. Thus, I kind of ignore inversion for gastrocnemius soleus function. Majority of movement is for plantar flexion. But it's good to know. Logically, theoretically, soleus and gastrocnemius can do inversion. Good to know. Now at last, let me explain difference between gastrocnemius and soleus. This is gastrocnemius, superficial part, and this is soleus. One difference is soleus attaches to tibia and fibula. Then gastrocnemius attaches to femur right here. What can I say? Gastrocnemius can move knee joint because this muscle crosses knee. On the other hand, soleus does not cross knee joint. This muscle originates from fibula and tibia right here. This muscle does not cross knee joint. Thus, gastrocnemius can move knee. Soleus does not. Of course, they have same function for ankle joint, plantar flexion and inversion. So in today's video, I explained basic anatomy and function of soleus. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button, comment and subscribe. See you next video.